We're going to keep going on. Our buddy Tony Flowers writes, "What's up, Paul? You're killing it, brother. Hey, thanks, Tony. Love it. Thank you for participating." He says, "Arn, what opponent would you say you learned the most from working with?"
Learned a lot working with Ronnie Garvin. Now there's a guy that if you had 20 minutes, you could go out and build a story and build a contest. And it'd be a wrestling match. And the first time he chopped you, or the first time he hit you in the guts, or the first time he stomped you, it was because you had already asked for it. But you needed, with Ronnie, you needed 20, 25 minutes. Steamboat was always just such a great baby face, everything from his look to his ability to work to his ring psychology, you name it. And you would just learn on the job.
I just had something strike me while you were talking about it. And I know you only spent a year in WWF with Tully. Was there, and that was just a time period when they had so many great tag teams. Was there a tag team that you guys worked with in the WWF that you thought, wow, we learned something that we haven't learned working with the Midnights and the Rock and Rolls, just as tag team wrestlers, having been able to work with that specific tag team while we were in the WWF in 1989?
After the first night, we got to have a house show match, live event match with the Rockers, which, I didn't know those guys. Tully, wasn't real familiar with those guys, but up there was us coming in, there was a lot of, okay, let's sit back and see how these guys are. There was, I wouldn't call it angst, but it was like, and I wouldn't call it mistrust. It was just, they did not know how we were going to work with all the teams when we got there.
Sure. There's a lot of, hey, how are we going to do this? They're experienced, we're experienced, we're the new guys now on the block.
Yep. And we worked with those guys one night, and we called a bunch of stuff on the fly, and it was stuff for them. And before you knew it, we're at the 10-minute mark, 12-minute mark, and those guys had been dominating the match, and you could just feel them give in to, they weren't even questioning, what we were calling, and was it the right thing or any of that. They were just going with the flow, and when we got backstage, they just went, God, man, that was fun. We felt exactly the same way because they were a really, really good team, probably underrated, believe it or not, because of the way they were used. Wasn't anything to do with, with talent, because those guys were both incredibly talented and a great team. They had everything. And from that day on, man, it was just like, it was an honor and a pleasure to work with those guys, and it was a difficult place to be on the card, to be following it, and I'll just say it.
I remember watching them when I was real young as the Midnight Rockers in AWA before they then transitioned to WWF as the Rockers. But you could see all the talent in the world, there. Obviously, we know what Sean was able to do. But I just thought it was fun when you think about Demolition and you think about the British Bulldogs and the Hart Foundation and the Rockers, all the teams that you were able to work with. And I just thought, hey, you guys already came in, like you said, as experienced. And was there tag teams that you saw in WWF or one that stood out that you said, my goodness, we've just learned from them stuff that we haven't, yeah.
And let me rephrase it. I learned something from every team we worked with.
Okay.
Paul, as I sit here talking to you and talking to our fans and watching clips, sometimes we'll watch clips and I'll go, boy, that was dumb, or that was stupid, or wow, that was pretty cool, and I didn't even remember that. I learned something every day in this business. Just talking to somebody and talking business, I learned something. So, even if it was something that's so simple that, somebody says, well, what, it's like Brock will say stuff. He'll come out with something profound. We'll be watching the show and he'll try to guess what's going to go on in the end and the finish, or is there aftermath, or who's going over and all this stuff. And it's, I learned something every day.
You know, what was cool was one of the shows that we did on, and we were watching clips together, and there was a move done, and it was the where they kind of carried him over to, I guess it might have been the second rope. I don't know, it was the top rope. It was off that second rope brainbuster. And you said, hey, Paul, can you send me that clip we watched again? I'm at the gym with Brock, and we're doing some training on some moves, and we'd love to watch that again. And I just thought, man, how cool is that we're going back 20, 30 years ago watching stuff, and Arn is still the teacher learning and saying, then he's going to training and saying, hey, Brock, you know, whoever he's working with in the ring at this point, take a look at what we did back then. And this isn't a move we see often. And you're right, you're still learning and remembering and seeing things, just us recording the show together.
Yeah, I learned from you, Paul. I really do. People that are learned about this business and go back to the old days and have been around. Wrestling fans have a lot of knowledge, and they ask a lot of intelligent questions. And sometimes it's just as easy as, well, damn, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that. Yes, there's a place to put that.
Yeah.
Place to put that, yes.
Yeah. Well, speaking of intelligent questions, I'm going to catch them.